Chillicothe, Missouri, a quiet farming town nestled in the heart of Livingston County, where cattle outnumber people and everyone waves as they pass on gravel roads. On the humid afternoon of July 17, 2022, 26-year-old Emma Rae Thompson laced up her running shoes, kissed her grandmother goodbye, and headed out for a jog down Route Z, just like she did every Sunday. But this time, Emma never returned. What followed would unravel the tight-knit calm of Chillicothe, drawing in the FBI, unearthing a predator hiding in plain sight, and leaving a grieving family to search for justice in a place where nothing like this had ever happened until now. The sun beat down heavy on Livingston County that Sunday, the kind of Missouri summer heat that makes the roads shimmer and the cornfields hum. Church had let out hours ago, and most of Chillicothe's 9,500 residents were holed up inside. Fans whirring, lemonade sweating in mason jars. Emma Rae Thompson, 26, wasn't like most. 5'5", lean from years of high school track and a decade of early morning runs. She was known to jog no matter the season. Rain, sleet, or scorched July heat, didn't matter. She said it helped her think, helped her breathe. That day, July 17, 2022, she was staying with her grandmother, Martha Collins, while her apartment was being renovated on the south side of town. Emma had just wrapped her nursing shift at Hedrick Medical Center the evening before. She'd texted her mom in Kansas City to say she was thinking about getting out of the city. Maybe buying a house in the country. More air out here, she said, and people wave. Around 3:10 p.m., wearing a maroon sports bra, black shorts, and bright turquoise Nike trainers, Emma tied her strawberry blonde hair into a ponytail and slipped in her wireless earbuds. Her Apple Watch beeped to life as she jogged down the driveway, past the rusted mailbox, and onto Route Z. Don't go far, Grandma Martha had called out from the porch, brushing crumbs off her apron. Storm's supposed to roll in later. Emma smiled over her shoulder, half jogging backward. Just 45 minutes, same loop. Love you. That was the last time anyone in her family would see her alive. The loop she referred to was a familiar one, Route Z to County Road 216. Then a right turn through a patch of gravel track winding behind a soy field and back around toward Meadville Road. Roughly 5.3 miles, a run she'd done hundreds of times. Locals would wave, dogs would bark, farmers would tip their hats from tractors. Only this time, none of them remembered seeing her. At 5:12 p.m., Emma's grandmother called her cell phone. No answer. At 5:36 p.m., she texted, "Everything okay? Storm's coming." Delivered, but never read. At 6:04 p.m., she tried calling again, straight to voicemail. By 7:15 p.m., the rain had started. By 7:45, Martha called 911. Deputy Corey Lively from the Livingston County Sheriff's Office was the first to respond. He'd known Emma since she was 10, played softball with his niece. He didn't hesitate. Within the hour, local search teams were on the ground. By midnight, volunteers were combing ditches with flashlights. The fire department deployed thermal drones. Emma's mother, Deanna, arrived from Kansas City at 2 a.m., still wearing her hospital scrubs, shaking from exhaustion and fear. "It's not like her," Martha kept saying. "She always checks in, always." Emma's phone pinged for the last time at 3:14 p.m., less than 5 minutes after she left the house. It was triangulated to a location near the intersection of County Road 216 and a private cattle gate. Beyond it, miles of brush, an old hay barn, and a streambed known to flood in summer storms. By morning, the entire town knew Emma Thompson was missing, and Chillicothe would never be the same again. By dawn on July 18, Route Z didn't look like Route Z anymore. Patrol cars lined both shoulders. Orange cones marked the shoulder where Emma's last ping had been recorded. The stillness of the countryside was broken by voices shouting names, helicopters circling, and the low hum of four-wheelers dragging down gravel roads that usually saw more deer than people. Sheriff Ben McMillan, a 30-year veteran of Livingston County law enforcement, stood near a flattened patch of grass just past the cattle gate. He was chewing the inside of his lip, hands on his hips. "She didn't just vanish," he muttered to himself. He had worked missing person cases before, teenagers skipping town, custody disputes, the occasional silver alert for a dementia patient. But not like this. Not Emma. Not here. Not in Chillicothe. Emma wasn't the type to disappear. She'd graduated top of her class at Missouri Western, was a trauma nurse at Hedrick, volunteered with youth athletics, helped her grandmother grocery shop on Tuesdays, and still managed to run 5 miles every other day. Her friends said she could light up a room with sarcasm and sweet tea. Her patients said she listened. Her coworkers said she carried weight others couldn't. She showed up, said Mariah Campos, a fellow nurse, always, no matter what. That morning, a full-scale search effort was launched. The FBI was looped in by midday. Emma's face went up on missing posters at gas stations, post offices, churches, and the Walmart off Highway 65. Volunteers signed in at the National Guard Armory. By 3 p.m., nearly 200 people, farmers, retirees, teenagers with backpacks and bug spray, had spread out across fields and creeks in search grids. The sheriff's office confirmed to the media that Emma's phone was found around noon that day, just 30 yards off County Road 216, next to a metal fence post and a crushed beer can. Her watch was still missing. The phone screen was intact. No cracks, no water damage, but the signal had gone dead almost immediately after 3:14 p.m. the day before. It looked placed, said one deputy, later anonymously, not dropped. By evening, Missouri state troopers were on horseback. K-9 units sniffed drainage pipes. Nothing, no shoe print, no torn fabric, no screams had been heard. No cameras captured anything, and Emma hadn't been driving. She had left on foot. By nightfall, a new kind of silence spread through the town, one people hadn't felt since the 1990s meth raids or the 2011 tornado sirens. Only this wasn't nature, and it wasn't drugs. This was something darker. Theories began to swirl. She fell into the stream and drowned. She was picked up by someone she knew. She hitched a ride that went bad. She was targeted, but none of them made sense. Emma wasn't impulsive. She didn't drink. She wasn't dating anyone new. Her ex-boyfriend, Lane Parker, lived in Columbia and hadn't been in town in months. He was quickly ruled out. The FBI brought in forensic profilers. State Highway Patrol ran traffic camera reviews from 3 counties. Meanwhile, her mother and grandmother barely slept. Local news ran her face on loop. At the candlelight vigil outside Hedrick Medical on the second night, her coworker Will Dunham said into the microphone, voice cracking, Emma wouldn't run away. She wouldn't leave us wondering. She'd fight like hell if someone tried anything. And somewhere, someone knew if she had. Wednesday morning, day 3. Search teams were exhausted. Blisters formed under boots. Some volunteers had walked 12 miles in the sweltering Missouri heat. Still nothing. Sheriff McMillan stood before the press again outside the armory, his shirt soaked under his vest. We are not giving up, he said. Emma is out there. We need the public's help. Anything you saw. Anything you heard. Behind him, a new map of the area showed red circles and highlighter marks. Ping locations. Terrain obstacles. Private land boundaries. And at the center of it all, the thin white line of County Road 216. The same spot where a man named Caleb Foster claimed to have seen Emma jogging. Caleb was a 31-year-old ranch hand and part-time tractor mechanic. Born and raised in Chillicothe, his family had owned Foster Acres for 3 generations. He was clean-cut, a member of the local hunting club, and worked mornings at Grady's feed supply off Route Y. He'd gone to school with Emma's older brother. He told officers he saw her just after 3 p.m. Sunday, running alone, near the cattle gate. She was maybe 200 yards ahead. I slowed up just to pass by, he said. She gave a little wave. Looked fine. I was heading to drop off some fencing for Mr. Whitlock's pasture. Didn't think anything of it till I heard she was missing. He even joined the search the next morning. Wore camo. Brought his own ATV. Passed out bottled water. No one thought twice. Until Thursday afternoon, when a local farmer named Tim Weller called in a tip. I don't want to point fingers, Tim said, but I saw Caleb's truck parked off County Route 216, Sunday around 3:30. Engine running. No one inside. Thought maybe he was hunting coons or fixing something in the ditch. Didn't see Emma though. just struck me odd. It wasn't much, but in a case like this, odd was enough. Deputies quietly asked Caleb to bring his vehicle in for a voluntary search. He agreed, but when they lifted the tailgate, they found a dried reddish stain smeared near the latch. Caleb froze. "It's deer blood," he said. "I was field dressing a buck last week behind my uncle's barn." But it was July, off-season, no tags issued, no hunting permitted, and no reports of deer kills. He looked pale. His hands trembled. Detective Valerie Tinsley, one of the FBI liaisons brought in from St. Louis, leaned forward in her chair as she quietly asked, "Caleb, did you know Emma personally?" He hesitated. "No, not really, just from town, but records showed they'd once been Facebook friends, until early 2021. When Emma unfriended him after he sent her a series of direct messages. One read, 'Saw you running today. That color suits you.' Another, 2 weeks later, 'You always alone out there? Just wondering.' Emma never replied. Her best friend, Lindsay Cross, later confirmed that Emma had mentioned the messages in passing. She brushed it off. Lindsay said he was harmless, just awkward. But now, harmless didn't feel right, especially when phone tower data showed Caleb's cell phone pinged less than a mile from the last location of Emma's watch, at 3:17 p.m. Just minutes after her signal vanished. By Friday morning, Caleb's truck was in an evidence bay. A search warrant was obtained. Forensic dogs were brought in. They alerted to the bed of the truck. Multiple times, Sheriff McMillan stood outside the Foster family home that afternoon, warrant in hand, trying not to shake. He'd gone to high school with Caleb's father, ate ribs at their summer barbecue in '07. That night, for the first time, Emma Thompson's case was reclassified from missing to endangered suspicion of foul play. And somewhere in Livingston County, someone who had once been overlooked wasn't anymore. The morning of July 22 arrived with thunder. Storm clouds hung low over Livingston County, casting shadows over the fields that search parties had walked for days. The wind pushed through tall grass like whispered warnings. It had been 5 full days since Emma Rae Thompson vanished, and the town was starting to break. At 7:45 a.m., the lab returned the preliminary test on the reddish stain in Caleb Foster's truck bed. Human blood. By 8:12 a.m., officers were at Caleb's trailer on the edge of his family's 200-acre farm off Meadville Road. His silver F-150 was in the driveway, engine still warm. When deputies knocked, there was no answer. By 8:23, they were inside. The trailer smelled like bleach. A large section of carpet in the hallway had been cut out, a clean rectangle. Like a surgeon's incision, there was a laundry basket in the kitchen, filled with muddy clothes and a pair of men's boots caked in what looked like dried clay and soy husks. Hidden under the sink, wrapped in a plastic Hy-Vee bag, was Emma's Apple Watch. It was still powered on. The GPS log showed the exact route she had run on the afternoon she disappeared, and it stopped moving at 3:16 p.m. near a patch of private land owned by Caleb's cousin. By 9 a.m., Caleb Foster was officially a person of interest. But he was gone. His cell phone had been turned off since the previous night. His truck was still in evidence lockup. No sign of where he had gone. The FBI issued a bolo, "Be on the lookout," across Missouri and Kansas. At 10:15 a.m., Emma's mother collapsed in the hallway of the sheriff's office. Her knees gave out, her voice hoarse from too many nights without sleep. "She's dead," she whispered to the deputy helping her up. I feel it in my bones." The case was now public. Local news cut into their morning broadcast. The headline rolled across the screen. Breaking. FBI names person of interest in Emma Thompson case. Search intensifies. Online, Emma's photo, a selfie in pink scrubs with a stethoscope draped over her neck, began spreading across national media. #FindEmma trended for the first time. That afternoon, the sheriff's office called in aerial support to scan the Foster farmland. Dense trees, 3 ponds, dozens of outbuildings, a rusted grain silo, and a collapsed barn dating back to 1972. Everything was a potential crime scene. At 4:22 p.m., a drone operator noticed something strange, a 20 by 10 foot patch of disturbed soil behind the grain silo, covered haphazardly with hay. 2 hours later, They found her. Emma was buried shallow, just 18 inches below the surface. Her sports bra and shorts were still on. Her arms crossed over her chest. Her legs bent at unnatural angles. Her skin was pale but intact. Forensic pathologists believed the storm had preserved the body by cooling the ground and slowing decomposition. The coroner later confirmed blunt force trauma to the back of the skull, a defensive wound on the forearm, and ligature marks on the wrists. She had fought back. At 6:03 p.m., Sheriff McMillan stepped in front of the crowd outside the courthouse. His voice was thick. "We have found Emma." The crowd gasped. Some cried. Others fell silent. The weight of the moment hit hard. Behind him, Emma's mother sobbed into her hands. Lindsay Cross collapsed into a folding chair. A man in the back vomited into a flower bed. A community once defined by hayrides and Friday night football had just joined the list of towns broken by violence. And the man responsible was still missing. By sunrise on July 23, Livingston County was on lockdown. Caleb Foster had vanished, and the manhunt to find him was now federal. The FBI, Missouri State Highway Patrol, and local law enforcement launched coordinated checkpoints along every major route out of Chillicothe. Drones buzzed overhead, helicopters hovered low. Hunters, farmers, and ranch hands were warned, stay alert and don't engage if seen. His face, clean-shaven, blue eyes, sun-scorched skin under a camo ball cap, was plastered on every gas pump, rest stop, and truck stop bulletin board from Columbia to Omaha. His DMV photo ran on local news every hour. The headline read, "Armed and Dangerous. Manhunt underway for person of interest in nurse's homicide." Caleb Foster had no prior criminal record, no history of violence, but now the evidence was stacking up. Emma's Apple Watch was found hidden in his trailer. Her blood was in the bed of his truck. A neighbor's trail cam had captured a blurry figure matching his build, carrying a shovel and something heavy over his shoulder, just after 4 p.m. on July 17. Inside the Foster home, deputies found journals, dozens of them. Some were benign, hunting logs, fuel receipts, crop notes, but others weren't. Detective Valerie Tinsley sat in the evidence room, reading one entry aloud to the DA that stopped everyone cold. "I see her every Sunday. She runs like she's not afraid of anything. But she should be. They all should be. She doesn't know I'm there. Not yet." Journal entry, July 3, 2022. He'd been watching Emma for weeks, maybe longer. Even more disturbing, they found 8 additional names written in the back of one notebook. All women, all local, some still in town, some who had moved away. No known connection between them, except that 4 had reported being followed while jogging in the past 2 years. None of those reports had gone anywhere. Until now. At 2 p.m. that day, a cashier in Maryville, 2 hours north, reported a man who matched Caleb's description buying canned soup, a flashlight, and cigarettes, paying in cash. He looked worn out and paranoid. The clerk said she wrote down the truck plates, but it came back to a stolen vehicle from the outskirts of Kirksville. Caleb was running, and he was ahead. Sheriff McMillan called a press conference that evening. "He's on foot or moving slow," he told the crowd. "If he's smart, he'll turn himself in. If he's not, we'll bring him in ourselves." That night, the town didn't sleep. Emma's funeral was scheduled for Monday, and her killer, or the man believed to be, was somewhere out there, slipping between corn rows and roadside motels. His face now the most wanted in Missouri. And the question no one could answer was, why? Why Emma? Why now? And what had really happened in that 15-minute window on County Road 216? Answers were coming. But first, Caleb Foster had to be found. July 25, 2022. It had been 8 days since Emma Rae Thompson's disappearance, 2 days since her body was found, and 72 hours since Caleb Foster vanished without a trace. The FBI profilers warned that a man like Caleb, isolated, unraveling, familiar with the land, was dangerous when cornered. "He knows the terrain," Agent Carla Mendez said, "and he's got nowhere left to go. That makes him unpredictable." The search zone now spanned 5 counties. Rural shelters were put on alert. The Missouri River and wooded backwaters were scanned. Even abandoned cell towers and deer blinds were searched. Then, just after noon, A breakthrough came from a postal worker on County Road B near Brookfield, Missouri. He'd spotted a shirtless man, barefoot, limping through a soybean field near an old church ruin. The man had ducked when the mail truck passed. The carrier called it in. At 1:17 p.m., a Missouri State Patrol chopper located movement in the trees. And at 1:31, the FBI surrounded an old vacant hunting cabin. Deputies approached slow, weapons drawn. Inside, Caleb Foster was half conscious on the floor, dehydrated, sunburned, with an infected cut across his palm. He didn't resist, just looked up and said, hoarsely, "I didn't mean to kill her." The room fell silent. No Miranda rights were needed. He waived them immediately. In the interrogation that followed, Caleb began to unravel the story in fragments. Blank. Underscore. Blank. She waved at me, he said, like always. That stupid little wave. He claimed he'd been drinking that day, even though blood tests showed no alcohol in his system at the time of arrest. He said he was angry, that she always acted like he didn't exist. She didn't even know me. Not really, but she smiled, and I thought, maybe this time she'd stop. Maybe she'd talk. But Emma didn't stop. That's when he turned his truck around, drove ahead, and waited, engine off, just past the curve. She ran right into it. He claimed it was an accident, that she hit her head on the hood, that she fell, and it got out of hand. But the forensic evidence, the bruises, the blood pattern, the ligature marks, told a different story. Deputy Chief Melanie Garner sat across the table from Caleb as he shifted uncomfortably in the chair. "You tied her wrists," she said calmly. "That wasn't an accident." He didn't deny it. "I panicked," he whispered. "I didn't know what to do." Blank. Underscore. Blank. But then, one of the most chilling moments of the entire interview. When shown a photo of Emma, her senior portrait, Caleb didn't flinch. He stared at it, then said, "I just wanted her to know me." And with that, the room turned cold. Blank. Underscore. Blank. The DA's office moved quickly. Caleb Foster was charged with first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, aggravated assault, tampering with physical evidence, improper disposal of human remains. No plea was entered yet. No defense offered. But the community didn't wait. Over 800 people gathered that evening for a vigil outside Hedrick Medical Center. Nurses lit candles. Former patients stood shoulder to shoulder in silence. Her grandmother sat on the front bench, holding Emma's running shoes in her lap. "Her spirit," said Lindsay Cross at the microphone, "can't be buried, not by one man, not ever." And they believed that. But in the courthouse, justice was just beginning. Fall came early in Chillicothe that year. The soybeans turned brill gold. The skies softened to pale blue. But the calm on the outside didn't reflect what was happening inside the Livingston County Courthouse. October 10, 2022. State of Missouri versus Caleb Foster. The courtroom was packed before 8 a.m. Locals who'd known Emma since she was a little girl. Nurses who'd worked with her. Classmates. Even strangers. All came to see if justice would be done. Caleb Foster sat at the defense table in a navy suit 2 sizes too big. Wrists cuffed under the table. He looked thinner, pale, blank. Emma's mother refused to look at him. "He doesn't get my attention," she told reporters. He took enough. The prosecution came out swinging. They laid it out with chilling clarity. Emma Rae Thompson was targeted, stalked, and murdered in cold blood by a man who had watched her, obsessed over her, and waited until she was most vulnerable, alone, unarmed, in the middle of a quiet country road, and then struck. They presented Apple Watch data, showing the exact moment her run ended. Forensic evidence from Caleb's truck, including Emma's blood, journals detailing escalating obsession, trail cam footage, showing Caleb near the burial site, shovel in hand. But it was Emma's voice. From her own devices, a series of short videos she recorded just days before, that broke the courtroom wide open. In one, recorded the Thursday before her murder, Emma smiled into the camera and said, laughing, "If I go missing, I better get my own podcast episode." The room went still. Her mom covered her face and wept. A juror wiped her eyes. Blank. Underscore. Blank. The defense offered no alternative theory. They didn't claim mistaken identity. didn't blame mental illness. They tried to paint Caleb as lonely, misunderstood, emotionally stunted, a man who snapped. But it didn't matter. The prosecution ended closing arguments with a line that echoed in every corner of the room. Emma trusted her town. She trusted her road. She should have been safe. But a man who felt entitled to her attention, to her life, decided he could take it. And now, he must pay. Blank. Underscore. Blank. On October 17th, after just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned, guilty on all counts. When the judge read the verdict aloud, Caleb stared forward, unmoving, no reaction, no apology, no tears. Emma's family held hands. A hushed cheer rose from the back row. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom emptied slowly, some in silence, others hugging, a few just shaking their heads. And Emma? She was buried beneath an oak tree at the edge of town. In the same field she used to run past. Her headstone read, "She ran with light, we carry it forward, blank, underscore, blank." Aftermath. In the months that followed, the Emma Rae Foundation was created to provide GPS wearables and safety training to rural joggers and women runners. Emma's Law was introduced in the Missouri House, requiring mandatory investigation of repeat reports of stalking in small jurisdictions. The trail she used to run, County Road 216, was renamed Emma Rae Memorial Pathway. Her best friend Lindsay organizes an annual run every July. Hundreds show up, many in Emma's favorite color, teal. And in 2023, a scholarship was established at Missouri Western for women entering nursing with a focus on rural healthcare. She's not gone, her grandmother Martha told a news crew. She's just running somewhere we can't see her. And we'll catch up someday. Thank you for following Emma's story. If you found this powerful and believe in honoring victims and empowering communities, consider subscribing to the channel. We tell real stories, we protect real names, and we never stop seeking the truth.